the echo of forgotten names. The stars outside the viewport shimmered like shards of glass scattered across a black canvas. Admiral Leora Kane stood at the bridge of the Terran vanguard, her eyes fixed on the glowing points of the galactic core ahead. Her fleet, small but meticulously chosen, followed in perfect formation behind her. Every ship bore the insignia of Earth, a rising sun over a blue and green sphere, silent proof that humanity had stepped into the galaxy's great stage. Leora's heart was steady, but her mind raced. Earth had only recently achieved faster-than-light travel, yet here she was, leading humanity's first official mission to the galactic core, home of the Council of Ancients, the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Every species here had existed for millions of years, some longer than Leora's ancestors had even walked the Earth. She had trained for this moment, rehearsed every diplomatic line, every gesture meant to communicate peace, yet no training could prepare one for the unknown. "Admiral," her communications officer, Jalen Voss, said softly, "we are entering the perimeter. Council sensors have acknowledged our arrival. They are observing." Leora nodded. "Maintain formation. Keep weapons offline. Let them see we come as diplomats, not conquerors." The council chamber was beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. It floated like a colossal lattice of light and metal in the void. Platforms hovered at every level, each carrying beings of form so alien that the human eye struggled to comprehend. Some shimmered like living crystals, refracting light in patterns that made them seem simultaneously solid and transparent. Others hovered as clouds of energy, their faces glowing in rhythmic pulses. Tentacles, wings, bioluminescent skin and shapes that bent physics itself filled every inch of the platforms. At the center hovered a larger dais, reserved for the oldest species, the archivists. They were the keepers of history, ancient beyond comprehension, tasked with remembering everything the galaxy had ever known. Humanity, in all its short history, had never encountered anything remotely like them. "Ambassador Kane," said a voice through the universal translator, smooth and resonant, "you have entered the chamber of the council. Speak if you must and be heard." The voice did not belong to any one species. It was a chorus compiled from thousands of alien tones, synthesized into a single channel humans could understand. Leora straightened. "Honorable Council," she began, her voice amplified across the vast chamber. "I come as a representative of humanity from the planet Earth. We seek friendship, knowledge, and cooperation. We come in peace." The chamber hummed with quiet murmurs. Leora could not read the alien expressions, but their body language suggested curiosity, some casual, some almost reverent. They had seen new species before, as she had expected. Yet there was something else beneath the surface, a tension that she could not yet name. An archivist, the oldest of the ancient species, floated closer. Its crystalline body refracted the light, creating a spectrum of colors across the chamber. It extended a limb toward the projection of Earth's location. "Provide your world's coordinates. They must be recorded in the Archive of Ages." Leora nodded and activated a small data crystal. "Coordinates sent," she said. "Solar system designation, Sol, planet designation, Earth, stellar arm, Orion." The crystal flashed as it transmitted, the data translating humanity's unremarkable yellow star into the universal mathematical language of the galaxy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the archivist's body shuddered. Its limbs trembled violently and the crystal shell of its form fractured slightly, a soundless ripple in the air. Other elders paused. The youngest members of the council stared, confused, whispering in hundreds of languages that Leora's translator couldn't keep pace with. "What is happening?" Jalen whispered, gripping the edge of the console. The archivist spoke again, but this time its voice was ancient, guttural, filled with a tone older than time itself. One word escaped, spoken in the first tongue, a language so old that only the most ancient species still remembered it. Arendor Prime. The effect was instantaneous. A species of floating energy beings froze mid-flight, their light dimming as if the sun itself had been blocked. Crystalline creatures cracked and split further, shedding fragments as they retreated. Tentacled elders recoiled as if burned. Panic, pure and unfiltered, rippled across the chamber. Leora's team looked at one another. That is Earth?" she asked cautiously. The purple-hued ambassador, a six-limbed being from the sector of Virelon, shivered visibly. No. Impossible, it whispered, its tone betraying awe and fear. It cannot be. Alarms rang throughout the chamber. Red lights flashed. Energy barriers sprang to life, isolating Leora and her envoy from the rest of the chamber. They were trapped, suspended in a translucent bubble that hummed with raw power. Leora pressed her hands against it. It was unyielding. A younger alien, a scaled humanoid with emerald eyes, floated toward the edge of the containment. Its gaze lingered on Leora with what could almost be called pity. "Human," it said softly, "you do not understand. Your ancestors, your world, it has returned." "Returned? What do you mean?" Leora demanded. "We have done nothing. We only seek peace." The alien shook its head. "Peace is not what the galaxy remembers. There are things you do not know, things buried beneath time itself. Your world, it is a name that carries fear older than stars." Hours passed in silence. Leora and her team ate the rations delivered through the energy field and tried every method to communicate. Every attempt was met with a wall of ancient caution. Then from the shadows of the chamber, a smaller, gray-skinned alien approached. Its eyes were black as void, reflecting nothing. It placed a data panel on the floor just outside the bubble. "Read," it said softly. "Understand. But know this. The penalty for revelation is death. You are not being punished yet. You are being observed." Leora knelt beside the panel, activating the holomap. Streams of data unfolded before them. Histories of wars, empires that had risen and fallen, and references to a species called Arendor. They had conquered galaxies with a ferocity unmatched by any other, bending planets, systems, and even entire civilizations to their will. Yet something was curious. These records described humans, yet not the humans of today. Ancestors, it seemed, who had somehow disappeared, leaving only myths and legends. Her stomach twisted. Could humanity have descended from such a terrifying legacy? Could their peaceful existence on Earth be the result of amnesia, a deliberate erasure of history? The small gray alien lingered. "Your presence has awoken memories long thought buried. The galaxy feared your ancestors, and now you have come." Leora rose, determination blazing in her eyes. "If the galaxy fears us for who we were, it will see who we are. Not just our past, but our ingenuity, our resilience, our will to survive. The galaxy will learn that humanity is not only alive, but capable of more than anyone imagined." The alien regarded her silently, then vanished into the shadows. Outside, the energy barriers hummed, a silent reminder that humans were alone in the chamber of the ancients. Yet Leora felt no fear, only resolve. If the galaxy was to understand humanity, she would be the one to show it. And somewhere, deep in the void, ancient watchers stirred. Long-dormant weapon systems, hidden for millennia, began to power up. Alerts blinked across alien worlds. The mention of Arendor Prime had echoed through the galactic core, and despair, long forgotten, reverberated among species that thought they knew fear. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The awakening of humanity. The chamber of the galactic core was eerily silent, save for the low hum of energy barriers that still trapped Admiral Leora Kane and her envoy. Outside, chaos reigned. The Council of Ancients had split into factions. Some fled, some deliberated in frantic debate, and others stared in wide-eyed terror at the name Arendor Prime. Humanity, a species barely capable of interstellar travel, had unknowingly awakened an echo of fear that had lain dormant for millennia. But Leora was not one to be paralyzed by fear. She turned to her team. "We need to understand what we're dealing with. We may be trapped, but we are not powerless. We can learn, we can adapt, and we can survive." Her officers, a mix of military precision and brilliant scientific minds, nodded. Hope, they realized, was a weapon humanity had always wielded best. Minutes later, a smaller, gray-skinned alien entered the chamber. Its black, reflective eyes showed neither fear nor excitement, only careful observation. It placed a holographic tablet on the floor, just beyond the barrier. Leora leaned over and activated it. "You will be granted access," the alien said softly, "to the archives of the First Era. Limited, controlled. Learn what you can. But remember, some knowledge is forbidden. The penalty for disobedience is death." Leora nodded solemnly. "We understand, but we will not harm your records. We only seek understanding." With a gesture, the alien opened a narrow portal to the archives. Energy barriers lifted just enough to allow visual access, though the humans remained confined in their bubble. From where they stood, they could see the archive's vastness, a labyrinth of data crystals, holographic star maps, and floating records spanning thousands of civilizations. Jalen Voss, the communications officer, broke the silence. "Admiral, this place, it's unbelievable. We are seeing histories that predate Earth itself." Leora's eyes scanned the records. Names of empires, wars, and victories stretched back millions of years, and then they saw it. Mentions of a species called Arendor. Detailed records described fleets of unmatched capability, planetary sieges executed with precision, and civilizations collapsing in the wake of their might. But one detail stood out. They were humans, not the humans of today, but ancestors, fierce, relentless, and incredibly adaptive. Leora felt a shiver run down her spine. "These are us," she whispered. "Our ancestors? But how?" The gray alien observer stepped closer. "You are the descendants of a species once feared across this galaxy. Arendor Prime was the cradle of a force that reshaped entire sectors. But your line was hidden, sealed, and left on one small world. You are the legacy dormant, untested. Until now." Leora's mind raced. Humanity had always believed itself primitive in the grand scale of the cosmos. Yet here was proof that their forgotten ancestors had once dominated galaxies. "We have to show them who we are," she said. "Not as conquerors, but as survivors. As humans." Her team set to work immediately. They began deciphering the archives, combining human intuition with advanced alien technology. Ancient schematics of interstellar travel, defensive systems, and even weapon designs unfolded before them. While other species had relied on raw power or sheer longevity, humans excelled at creativity, finding ways to repurpose, optimize, and innovate. Hours passed, and the council watched silently. Some younger members grew curious, cautiously observing the humans. The humans, confined in their bubble, were not only reading, they were interacting with the ancient technology, learning, adapting, and demonstrating capabilities the council had not expected. The first test came unexpectedly. A holographic simulation was projected, a sector under attack by rogue alien raiders threatening to destabilize a key trade network. The humans, despite the limitations of the simulation and the barrier surrounding them, began to formulate a plan. "Deploy countermeasures here," Leora instructed, pointing at a holographic map. "Use the asteroid belts for ambush points. Their energy weapons will be less effective in gravity wells. Coordinate drone swarms to flank them from multiple vectors, and reroute shield harmonics to the sectors under the most pressure. Timing must be precise. If we miscalculate, the whole system collapses." The council watched in disbelief. The humans were turning ancient strategies into real-time solutions. They were not relying on raw force. They were using ingenuity, adaptability, and a moral compass that prioritized minimal casualties. The simulation ended. The rogue raiders were neutralized and the sector stabilized. Silence hung in the chamber for several moments. Then a ripple of murmurs spread. Some aliens were astounded. Others were fearful. The gray alien observer tilted its head. "You see, humans, your ancestors' power was not only in strength but in cleverness and unpredictability. And you carry that same spark." Leora turned to her team. "This is only the beginning. If they fear us because of what we were, let them see what we have become." Days passed as the humans continued their exploration of the archives. They discovered not only military histories but records of diplomacy, culture, and resilience. They saw how their ancestors had survived apocalyptic wars, adapted to hostile environments, and overcome civilizations that would have crushed any ordinary species. Humans, it seemed, were built for survival. Meanwhile, tensions outside the chamber escalated. Some factions of the council whispered of preemptive strikes, fearing that humanity's return might reignite ancient conflicts, but others argued for observation, claiming that humans had potential to stabilize regions, to contribute to galactic knowledge, and perhaps even to inspire change among stagnant civilizations. Leora realized that trust would have to be earned. "We cannot force respect," she said to her officers. "We must demonstrate it, through ingenuity, through wisdom, through restraint. The galaxy may fear our history, but they will remember our actions." A pivotal moment arrived when the Council summoned a challenge, a real-time test of humanity's decision-making under pressure. A massive simulation projected an entire planetary system under siege. Aliens observed as Leora and her team analyzed, planned, and executed a multi-pronged solution. They coordinated planetary defenses, deployed tactical drones, and even negotiated with simulated aggressors using insights drawn from the archives. When the exercise ended, the system was stabilized, the aggressors neutralized and casualties minimized. Murmurs of astonishment echoed through the chamber. Even the most skeptical council members could not deny it. Humanity was not only capable but exceptional. The gray alien observer approached Leora once more. "You have awakened what we feared, yet what we underestimated. Your ancestors' legacy lives within you, not as a threat but as a force for ingenuity and resilience. The galaxy will take notice." Finally, the energy barriers dissipated. Leora and her team were free to move, but the chamber was different now. The council no longer treated them as minor newcomers. They had seen human potential, unpredictable, adaptive, and relentless. Humanity had reclaimed its place not through conquest, but through creativity, courage, and the quiet power of intellect. As the humans prepared to depart, the elder archivist addressed them directly. "You are not just descendants of Arendor Prime," it said. "You are a new chapter. Your world will be watched, yes, feared perhaps, but respected. Respected beyond measure. Let your actions define you, and the galaxy will follow." Leora nodded. "We will. Not as tyrants, not as conquerors, but as humans. And humanity will not forget what it means to survive, to adapt, and to rise no matter the odds." The fleet left the chamber, and the galactic core trembled, not in fear of humanity's past, but in awe of what it had become. Across countless worlds, species whispered the name of Earth, not as a warning, but as a symbol of potential and resilience. The story of Arendor Prime had awakened again, but this time, it was tempered by the strength, ingenuity, and hope of the humans who walked among the stars. Somewhere, deep in the archives, old watchers recorded the events, noting that humanity had surpassed expectations. They had not only survived the judgment of ancient powers, they had inspired it. And as the humans disappeared into the void, countless eyes followed, some with hope, some with fear, all with a renewed understanding that the galaxy had been changed forever. Humanity had awakened, and there was no limit to what it could achieve.